the cheapest possible product, when you did not have an intermediary or an advisor in between who could guide and advise, it has been a failure.
The only product, financial product, which is really bought is bank deposit.
Okay, thank you. Neeraj, let me turn to you. I know that even though you are a distributor, you're kind of a quasi-manufacturer as well, in that you have got your PMS sort of trying to manufacture a fund-to-fund type product. Yesterday we were also talking about different types of distributors. I mean, because there are too many products, the training that is required to become an advisor is quite high. So there are provisions now for postal workers becoming distributors and so on. What's your opinion on, can there be products that are more solution or a package that different types of distributors can distribute? Even within your ranks, there will be some people that can go and use all the building blocks, and then some that can just sell a packaged product?
Yeah, certainly there will be different level of advisors and different level of customers, from a simple retailer to a high net worth individual who may probably understand risk and may like to go into structured products, and based on his risk and understanding of the markets, he may do his own asset allocation. Probably for that, a need of an advisor is completely different. And just for a retail investor, probably you have to sell simple products, like the recent regulation which has come, that the postal agents and retired bank employees and a few others would be allowed to sell simple products. I think that is the need of the hour, because if you look at the demand supply on the top end, there is a huge supply of advice, while at the bottom end there are no suppliers. At least we need 1 million to 2 million feet on street talking about SIPs, equity. Then and only then the dream of our country of financial inclusion will certainly take place. Otherwise, probably coming out with fancy products at the top end and swapping from here and there, I don't think, I mean, that's obviously a need and it's happening. But the real need is at the bottom level. That's what we feel and I understand.
Okay. So let's just carry on that discussion on simple products and their brokers, yourselves, all looking at these products. How do you evaluate these products? If mutual funds are beta and alpha products, so there's manager skill involved in adding value over and above a benchmark. Morningstar is today sponsoring the conference, and they have a star rating system globally, which is quant-based. But even they have come up with a star analyst system, which is basically qualitative-based, where they have to go and meet the team and assess them. Do you rely on these star ratings? And if not, what do you do to evaluate these products?
Honestly, there are 3 to 4 agencies like ICRA, Morningstar and others who are providing the statistics. And as Nilesh Bhai said, the experience, how long the fund is there, what kind of returns have been given till now. And the first time investor, best thing to give is a diversified fund. I mean, it is too much for an investor to decide, should I go for small cap or should I go for, infra or all these things. You know, these kind of choices are there. They all come very much subsequently, and many times people tend to go wrong. I think if you look at the top performing scheme, of course, the BankX scheme has done well. Because the banking industry has done, but by and large, you know, even if HDFC schemes and others, they are the, the diversified schemes which are most recommended, that people get a basket. And in fact, you know, I think this Rajiv Gandhi scheme is there, is a very good product which should be available only in mutual fund. I don't know why you want people to buy 50,000 worth of shares and come to secondary market. I mean, and then you have to go on giving declarations, you have to freeze, unfreeze, do all these things. Only mutual fund should be, recommended, or rather it should be mandated. I would not even say recommended. Because if you want people to take part in equity, let them come through the mutual fund, because they are all first time investors. They are not supposed to have any other demat account. This is the only demat account. All the restrictions which are there, they all are,
Customers are transactional relationship oriented. Very few migrate towards total relationship oriented. So we rely upon our research. We do look at what others are recommending, but at the end of the day, it's our research which we recommend to our customers.
Thank you. Turning back to the manufacturers, direct, I mean, even though you said unlikely that the direct strategy will change, the direct plans have been mandated, so you will probably have to offer them. Can I ask, what is the likely difference in expense ratios between the normal mutual fund units, say for an equity fund, and the direct plans? It's 2 weeks away, so must have some idea.
At the right time.
Okay. Well, I think the answer to that is the most likely difference is going to be the commission payout to the distributors in the first year, the annual commission payout. But you can ask the others also.
Which is? Number?
So at this point of time there is no clarity. Let me admit, I think across the industry, but even if you take a simple assumption, and I think that assumption is in a very simple manner, on an equity scheme, what could be the difference? My sense is the difference could be about 50 to 60 basis point, just which is the simple maths is whatever commission which you have paid in the last financial year, total commission over the average assets in that scheme. So that's my rough guess, and however even I am pushing my CFO to tell me the exact number. And I think hopefully in the next 2-3 days we should get more clarity on this thing.
What do you feel about this separate NAV? I think how are you going to keep this separate NAV? Is it going to not be a big administrative load on, that this is a fund, this is direct, I keep separate. So will it not be one separate scheme by itself because you are having a separate NAV?
No, the scheme remains same, the portfolio remains same. The expense ratios of the two differ only because there is a large component of that expense ratio. There is some component of the expense ratio which is the distribution cost, which SEBI felt in its own wisdom that perhaps there is a case for allowing a direct investor at a cheaper price. That is how I believe the advisory committee at SEBI and the investors' representatives in their advisory committee insisted on getting a cheaper price. Now it's a challenge for us as an industry because the earlier question was how are you accessing the investor? We are accessing him through the distributor. And at the same time you are telling the distributor that look, now I am going to have a product which is cheaper. The issue was, let me just take you back a bit. January 2008, the entry loads of the funds were withdrawn from July 2009. From January 2008 till July 2009, any direct investor who came to us did not have any entry load. Now, which means there was a decent 18-month period whereby a 202.25% cost saving the customer could have got if he had come directly. But the data shows that not many customers stand up, not more than 3-4% of the total sale happened in a direct manner. So the issue is between now, from then till now, of course, a lot of discussion has happened in the newspapers and PRI's financial literacy has gone up. Our assessment is anywhere between 50 to 75 basis point gap, perhaps the customer will be indifferent. People also felt that 50 basis point over 5 years becomes 2.5%. So which is not really true because 50 basis point will remain 50 basis point corrects. It will have some compounding impact. But over 5 years, it's not as if investor is going to lose 2.5 because the gap will continue to be at 50 to 60 basis point. In fact, I had to actually explain to some distributors who actually landed up saying that, look, we have long-term investors, 5 years, 2.5% gap, the investor will walk away. So actually, we showed that it's not going to be 2.5, it's going to be 50, whatever the gap is. And my belief is that ultimately, while this is something which is here to stay. So let's carry on, and you are not really going to see too much of a investor walk away at that price point.
No, in fact,
So,
convenience, see, I don't know whether we are putting so much emphasis on cost. Is it cost the only reason why people are not coming to mutual funds? I mean, they're highly debatable.
It's not.
I
It's
think,
not.
yeah, exactly.
Which is why the product question was exactly that. Is then why are people actually coming to mutual funds, or rather, how are we selling mutual funds to start with? But just summing up this discussion, so you're saying basically that your distribution strategy is not about to change. The direct units will be available because they have to be, but you are not going to push it any more, or likely to see any more percentage change in your distribution split. Is that right?
I believe that as far as the institutional piece is concerned, which is really comprising of liquid and fixed maturity
Forget
plans,
that, retail.
that could have, but in the retail space, I don't see
you
that
don't see that
because
changing.
it's unlikely that the customer will go to 5 different fund houses and make
Okay.
that payment.
Okay. However, how can we use this exchange platform, the one that we're talking about today, or other platforms for that matter? Neeraj Bhai, we've talked at length about platforms before. That's in other markets, there are administrative platforms that are used to then direct, consolidate lots of people's money and then put them into institutional plans. Could direct be used for that? Could the exchange platform be used for that? And just one more question. I mean, I've seen the Aditya Birla Money, My Universe portal, for example. What's to stop tomorrow 20 other portals coming out and promoting the direct? So do you see, what's the role of platforms for you in this?
I think for a customer who has decided to come direct, so he is getting a lower expense ratio and he feels that he is capable enough of taking a decision. So that's fine. To that extent, he should be charged a lower fee. But still he needs a platform to transact. There is an effort of transaction, and probably through the stock exchange platform, if it is being offered, you can charge a brokerage on that. And I don't think if a long-term investor for 5 years, 6 years and wants to save that 50 to 75 basis points would not mind to pay some basis point where he can even view or track his portfolio. Aggregation and other services also can be provided by virtue of a platform. So to that extent, I think the platform possesses the power to charge a transaction fee and offer other than advisory services. Coming to advisory, now we were also talking about this investment advisors regulation, and probably a person who wants an advisor and advisor is charging a fee, and again he is also sold the higher expense ratio fund, then in that case it doesn't become sensible for that customer, or that strategy is not sustainable. So if you want to go to a only fee kind of a model, then there has to be a separate class with a lower expense. And I think again this exchange platform can help and to process the orders of those through those direct plans. You can do your asset allocation. For fund of funds, today the fund of fund regulations, if you see at an AMC level, there are no institutional plans. They are institutional investors. So I think these fund of funds can again invest in the direct. So I think the important part is the positioning of this direct plan is critical. So people who today are scared of that, they should not be. It is meant for certain class of investors, and it is a flexibility through which you can use it to the advantage of all. And I am sure that for packaged products, you want to give asset allocation by taking a mandate from a customer using such kind of platform, and with this lower expense free, and you can embed a fee on that. I think that's a very good thing.
I think the biggest advantage of exchange platform is reach. No, I had studied the number of centers from where mutual funds could be applied about 2 to 3 years back. There were 275 center of camps. So there were just 275 locations from which, unique locations I would say, from which people could subscribe to mutual funds. Today, between the two exchanges put together, there are 1500 places where there is a footprint. So the huge reach which the platform is giving, I think is unparalleled. Second thing is, what is investments all about? It is about safety, liquidity and returns. For returns, we have the experts who are there. But when it comes to safety, I think doing it through the exchange platform, on second day you get credit in your demat account. When you give a check, whether the check reaches, the form reaches, acknowledgement comes, and then by the time you get that paper, which is again dependent on courier, whether it will reach you or not. So safety of your money, you get an instant confirmation that your money is reached and you have units. Liquidity, redemptions, if at all they want to do, they are so easy because their shares are there in demat. Actually, I am wondering, it's almost 3 years that we have started this, why are mutual funds not giving the facility to the investor, just giving them at the annual statement, just give a sentence at the bottom that these are my shares, this is my demat account number, kindly dematerialize all my shares. And that paper, if it is given to the mutual fund, then at least people who want to do their demat, straight away, all the shares come into the process, they have entire asset at one location. So I think from safety and liquidity point of view, it makes lot of sense to come on the exchange platform and to use the demat services. So I think it is a huge step forward.
Good idea, but I have one point, See, look at the entire Indian capital market. At one end of the Indian capital market is this entire network of exchanges, members, franchisees and customers. On the other side, why I'm saying other side, because this entire network survival is on the transactions. Survival is in terms of churn. This other end of capital market is mutual funds or perhaps insurance, which is all about longevity of investment. Let me give you another statistics. I don't have exact data for BSE, but for NSE at least, I had seen that for every 100 rupees that trades in the non-institutional segment, 90 rupees is derivatives, 10 rupees is cash, less than 5 rupees is delivery. I don't even have exact delivery statistics, but perhaps we have now created an Indian equity market which is shorter than perhaps bank deposits. It's all a churn kind of a market. Now in that kind of a scenario, how do I today, while the platform is outstanding, if you look at the entire 1200 cities whereby the secondary market platforms exist, the entire mindset of the brokers is how do I make money on transactions. I have gone and spoken about our Nifty ETF to several brokers saying that you take the whole income please. He said, no, I would rather do a Nifty future trade. Because the entire transaction flow, the whole business is driven by transaction. I remember talking to Barclays Global as to, how do you have such a large ETF? He said, no, it's a retail ETF. So I actually asked him, how do you do that retail ETF? Because human behavior is not going to change. And what was finally, when they said retail ETF is you have a pension fund behind which you have. So you have essentially a basic institutional participation, which is what has created such a large ETF. So this is not going to change because of this star. So your question about last 3 years, why have we not changed it? I think it can have a dramatic change if you perhaps allow the large set of distributors who are not members of the exchange or who don't want to become franchisees of your members, direct access to this platform. Now, today, if you look at the entire risk management framework that has been set up by SEBI, by exchanges with these members, or about the requirement of capital is coming out because the money is flowing to the exchange through the member brokers. That's why you don't have franchisees who actually accept money on their own account. The franchisees actually, the money is moved to the member brokers, and there is a risk management whole set of framework for the member brokers. Is there a case for us right now to actually make this popular for providing it to whole sets of IFAs that we have who will actually access money from the distributors and provide, what was being said, that, what is it that we want? You want single check, multiple funds, single application, single account statement, and actually account statement coming to me when I make an investment, say in Silchar. Today, when I make an investment in Silchar in Bombay Stock Exchange, the account statement, account contract note comes to me in Silchar. But when you make that in Templeton or Kotak, the flow of paper happens from Silchar to Chennai or wherever our R&D is. You can, everything gets addressed through your Star platform. Only issue is, how do I give my access to the distributors who are neither members of our franchises, neither they are franchises, they don't want to lose their identity. But if you are able to ensure that there is no risk whereby the customer actually gives money in favor of Bombay Stock Exchange instead of those brokers, you can have 10,000 new or 50,000 new member brokers for Bombay Stock Exchange.
Sir, this argument, is going on for last 3 years. Let me tell you, when SEBI introduced in 2007, that all money will directly flow to the brokers, and the sub-broker will only get a commission. Same arguments were put up. The broker will take away my clients, what about my identity? But today as we stand, the system is so useful that people are very happy that there is a direct contract, my money is safe. So, first thing is, having a broker in between does not necessarily say that the client will go away and the person needs an identity. See, as we want bigger and bigger reach and bigger use of these platforms, somebody's identity, is going to go away. In fact, we were with a very top official of the government last month. We had a brokers function. And he was very categorical in saying, he said, why don't you all merge, why don't you all come together? Ultimately, we should have only 10 brokers. So when we are talking of consolidation all along, these kind of consolidations will have to happen. Second thing is, please stop looking at stock market as a daily trading machine. Today, exchange platforms are investment platforms. You can buy, ETF, you can buy gold over here, you can buy fixed income instruments, you can buy debentures, you can buy stocks, you can buy mutual funds, and I'm very confident rather that you will shortly have postal savings also bought from here. So, this is a technology which is being made available. It need not be equated with saying that there is huge number of transactions, so even if you put mutual fund over here, you will start trading. I mean, I don't think, see, ultimately, what is the profile of the person and what is his investment, those things do very much matter. And people who come and trade are really interested in trading. They are not interested in long-term investment. So don't say that platforms make people speculators. Speculators are there because they want to speculate.
Okay, so thank you. So let me just get this clear. So Neeraj bhai, from your point of view, you're an IFA aggregator. What have you found stops people from adopting a platform like this?
See, I think I don't know why people are not adopting, because BSE already has liberalized the terms for becoming a member only for the MF segment. I think the requirement is only 10 lakhs. So for certain larger IFAs, with some effort, they can definitely take advantage of this directly. Or they should probably, if they are not interested in doing the KYC and other aspects, they should connect through a principal broker, a member of an exchange, who can offer this facility to that particular person. And whatever the member's focus would be, he can obviously offer the platform, because the member is not advising him. It is the asset management companies, they are making the sales. He is just using the platform to do the transaction. In fact, there is one more facility that a member can be different and a ARN holder can be different, which is already prevalent with BSC, but unfortunately, no one is exploring that. I am very surprised that MF utility is why not utilizing this platform, because this is already a evolved platform. Thousands and lakhs of transactions are happening, and they are designing something new. I mean, really surprised. This is such a powerful platform, a powerful risk management system. Crores of rupees of settlement takes place. No member is getting defaulted. RGESS now is on this DMAT only. So if they have MF utility, from that they cannot offer RGESS. If someone wants to buy ETF, which forms a part of the asset management business, they cannot offer it through the utility platform. It can be only offered through the exchange platform. So I think it's more a mindset issue.
Why people are not going for platforms?
I mean, the question is, why are people not coming into equity markets? આપણા ગુજરાતીમાં એક કહેવત છે કે કૂવામાં હોય તો હવાડામાં આવે. So if water is in the well, then it can come into your bucket. We are all worried about the bucket, but no one is worried about the well. We build beautiful infrastructure in terms of financial system. Our exchanges are at par with global standards. But where are the investors? The number of investors who were trading in 1991 on stock exchanges and in 2012, I don't think the number has changed significantly. You look at number of DMAT accounts in the country, there are 2.1 crore DMAT accounts. Each one of us will have at least 3 to 4 DMAT accounts, which means there are no more than 50-60 lakh investors. When Mastergain 92 issue came, it had as many investors. So from 1992 till 2012, cumulatively, we haven't moved. Population has probably doubled or more. But where are the investors? If you look at credit cards, there are 1.8 credit cards, 1.8 crore credit cards. Each one of us will have 3 credit cards. Again, number comes down to 50-60 lakh. You see the number of players, number of investors who trade on a daily basis on a unique ID. There are no more than 200,000 or 300,000. So effectively, the fact remains that Indian investors have smartly or wisely or by luck designed their portfolio, which is safe on the bank deposit sides, postal savings sides, insurance side, and on the risk side is in real estate and gold. Somewhere that equity is just not appearing. And as an advisor, while we have tried our best to market asset allocation, regular investment, and distribution across debt, equity, fixed income, commodity to our investors, in last 5 years, equity markets haven't supported our call. If a person had invested in real estate 5 years ago, vis-a-vis the best performing mutual fund on equity side or fixed income side, clearly the returns are far better in real estate. So we need some support from the market, some amount of performance. Hopefully law of average will catch up with gold and real estate at some point of time in future. Similar law of average will also catch up with equity markets. And then we will see performance giving us some amount of support. And then we can bring investors into the market. And once they are in the market, we'll figure out how to bring them into the mutual funds or direct equities or other products. But our focus should be on bringing investors into the market. The other problem which we are facing is related to the disintermediation of intermediaries. You know, medicines are life-saving things, and a person may not go and demand a mutual fund under duress, but certainly he'll demand a medicine under duress. But there's no regulation which kind of regulates medicine distributors. There is a wholesale chain which is running from pharmaceutical manufacturers to national stockists, to regional stockists, to chemist and druggist. That entire chain works. There no one is disputing that this intermediaries, by charging margin on life-saving drugs, are doing disservice to the society. In fact, in every bandh, you will see exception given to medical shops. So society is appreciating the intermediation in medicines. No one is accusing them that you are charging and increasing the cost of life-saving medicines to the people. You look at gold. I mean, clearly, it's one of the largest component where Indian savings is going towards. Now, can you imagine gold being distributed or sold directly at the bank level or at the manufacturer level? We have so many jewelry shops. We don't have enough mutual fund agents or insurance agents compared to the number of jewelers which are there. Obviously, people are going to invest in gold and silver. They are not going to invest in financial product. If regulations keep on disintermediating intermediation, then certainly we are not going to bring investors into the financial product. This is the real issue. On top of it, now you see the kind of regulatory changes which have happened. I mean, certainly they are happening for better, but KYC requirement. In last 5 years, we have seen 4 KYC done. I mean, certainly those are incidences which are putting off investors. He says, let me go and put money in bank deposits. It's so simple. I can touch and fill the bank. I can do the KYC in the simplest manner. And if I have done one KYC, I don't have to do it again and again, again and again. You see, if bank passbooks were consolidated across all the bank for one individual, will people accept that? But in mutual fund, we have seen that. There is one consolidated statement coming. I myself have worked in mutual funds. I have my investments in mutual fund, and when I see consolidated statement coming to me, I get puzzled. Sometimes entries are missing, sometimes statements are not understandable. Now, all these changes are kind of destabilizing investors' interest. He is not yet fully settled in mutual fund investment, and with the rapid changes in regulation, he is far more destabilized. So put all those things together, you realize why retail investors are not participating in markets, in mutual funds, as much as they should have.
Let me start rounding up some views. Are there any questions that are out there? Please do raise your hand and I'll get the mic too. In terms of, apart from the equity market, can I ask each one of you to give your suggestions for increasing the reach into to investors via the exchange platform or any other suggestions? So, Nilesh, do you have any positive suggestions that somebody can actually do something about?
I mean, there are lots of things which can be done. The most important thing is education to the investors. So today, there are probably in the organized sector 2-3 crore or 4 crore people who have provident fund accounts. Now that size was achieved because it was compulsory by law. There is no compulsion for investment in financial products, including mutual funds and insurance, other than that small tax savings which is coming through. Now, can we create some amount of pull whereby there is tax incentive so that people start moving from physical investments to financial investments? Now, tax incentives will be attractive only for that segment which is paying tax. But there is a need for non-tax paying also to save. And how do we bring them onto the table? The second thing which is related is stability in regulation. I mean, if there is a KYC format, let's freeze it once and for all. Can we ensure customers that for next 10 years I'm not going to change KYC requirement? The third thing is disintermediation of intermediation sector. There are so many IFAs who have closed down their shops and become real estate agents. Now, after spending 15 years, 20 years servicing customers for their insurance, for the mutual funds, and for their IPOs and so on and so forth, if those guys have to change their track because regulations have changed, because markets have evolved, I mean, certainly it's painful to them. You look at the IPO subscriptions which are coming. I mean, clearly there is disintermediation of intermediary sector, and unless until you incentivize them properly, you're never going to bring investors into the market. A jeweler, when he's selling gold, what kind of return he's making? If an insurance agent is selling insurance, what kind of return he's making? Vis-a-vis, what are you paying when a person is selling IPO or when a person is selling mutual fund? And then you expect that people will bring investors into mutual fund, it's expecting them to become Mother Teresa rather than run a commercial organization.
Kiran, any comments
I
to add?
think the biggest problem is the distrust, or rather, you know, the regulatory pronouncements are, what do they actually say? When they say no entry load, means the advisor is making too much money, let us cut it down. No brokers on bank boards, no brokers on exchange boards. That means they are not trustworthy. Please do not have them anywhere close. So this whole aspect of creating distrust in that very important last mile connectivity which is there is shunning away people not only from the markets but from the entire financial asset space which is there. So I think this trust building by SEBI, regulators, government, everybody is saying, you know, as I is saying that, look, we trust you, and you know, and you also can trust him. So yesterday also we came up with this, that there has to be some kind of selling which is being done by the regulators, from by the government as well as SEBI and others, that look, this is we are regulating them, this is a trusted community, and you know, we have got enough rules in place, you can safely invest over there, and that is the stand you need to take. You know, like we told SEBI that you have a advertisement campaign saying that please pay your advisor. Okay, and SEBI very clearly said, how can we ask anybody to pay? I mean, see, so this kind of making the last mile connectivity accepted by the people, I think that trust link, if it is established, then only we will see that financial products and especially equity products are sold. Otherwise, it is such a sad thing, index will go to 25,000, but hardly anybody will really, you know, share the prosperity of the markets.
I think what we need to do is what LIC has done over last so many years. They have 2 million agents. They have 20,000 plus outlets. So they have made that reach. Probably investor generally will not come direct and say that I want to buy. So we will have to train people, we have to create jobs, and that's where capital needs to be deployed. That's where simple products should be made, so that any person can make that selling and make a investor participate in the market. I think that's the, irrespective of whether the market is performing or not. I think the most important thing is the reach. Today we don't have reach. If you talk about the mutual fund industry, there are not even 75,000 ARN holders. And if we talk about it, and how many of them are active? So, no, not even 7,000. I mean, not even a business of 1 lakh per annum is done by more than 10,000 ARN holders. This is a statistics which is available. So I think the most important thing is that we need 2-3 million people who are talking about equity, who are talking about simple products, mutual fund. Whatever is the platform, probably when we are talking about exchange platform, it offers a whole lot of convenience and enhances the productivity. But the prior part is that we need a reach. So I think if we are able to do that at an industry level, to create that reach, then obviously this will happen.
Thank you. So that's the feedback from the distributors. As manufacturers, maybe each of you, I'm sure, have thought about your penetration strategy beyond the top 15 cities and maybe also the distribution. So what are you doing?
Sure, I think I'll just make an observation about the BSE Star. I'll just make a quick observation about the BSE Star MF platform. As the presentation earlier showed, it's a very robust platform, and I think as the mutual fund industry seeks to, move into or reach out to investors in the smaller towns and cities, I'm sure this platform will be a powerful way to get there and reach out to those investors. And I would not be very surprised at all to see the turnover, which is now, you mentioned 15 crores a day, easily double or treble in the next 2 to 3 years.
Sandesh?
I think uh, from the reach perspective, one is trying to at least cover 100 to 150 cities across India. Uh, there is a huge potential all of us are aware of. We are only hoping that ultimately we can't deny the fact that we are slaves to the underlying market, and we are only hoping that the market recovery which has been seen both on the fixed income as well as on the equity, um, and we have seen large flow of money and investors coming in, at least in the fixed income space over the last 1 year. The same gets repeated even in the equity, and we need, I can tell you from 2004 to 2008, we had seen a large flow of money, number of investors increasing in the industry, and that was perhaps the golden period for the industry. And then what we saw in the global financial markets, local financial markets, that's what led significant reduction in the flows, and which is seen across even in the secondary market, whereby volumes have significantly crashed. And it's all a question of underlying, and my belief is that the path that we are on right now in terms of economic recovery, I think we will see a much larger flow of capital and number of investors in the industry.
Thank you. I should have said equity market rebound is not an option in the answer. Equity market rebound is not an option in the answer. What are you doing? But that's okay, I understand
I
that.
think that's what I said, that as an industry, we are focusing on between 100 to 150 locations, and I believe 100 to 150 locations would translate into about, when you look at it from a commercial banking deposit perspective, we are talking about around 80-85% of total deposit market, which exists in the top 100, 150 cities.
Himanshu.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with the observations which have been done. I think whether it is on the operational side, whether it is on the reach side, I think there's a lot to be done. And I think we should expedite that if we want the investors to have to come into these markets across any product. I'm oblivious to whether they come to equity, whether they come to gold, whether they come to fixed income. I think or real estate. I think mutual fund is a platform which offers them all asset classes to the investors. And I think it is best left to the investor and their financial advisor to create a portfolio for them, so that which is as per their risk return profile. I think as a manufacturer, we definitely want to focus on all the issues which have been raised here, but our core is to focus on performance and to see that we continue to give sustained, consistent performance to our investors.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the audience? Are there any mics around? Oh, you have a mic. Okay, you get to be the first one then.
Okay. This question is to Deenaji, madam. You made this observation about technology being an enabler, so it will not make a trader out of an investor. Let me give you an example. Okay, today a person has bought a mutual fund and the market has consistently fallen, say, for 6 months. His 10 rupees has become 6 rupees or 5 rupees or whatever. If he goes to his advisor, an advisor can make him understand that this is the wrong time to sell. In fact, you should be adding more. If he has that enablement, overnight, at 12 o'clock in the night, if he can't get sleep, what he will do, he will go and sell. So my point is that I'm not, the point of technology being an enabler is well taken, but these are the possibilities, these are the things which can happen, if there is no advisor in between.
See, advisors are a must. Nobody is substituting. But what we are saying is that the exchange platform is nothing but a tool. Just because an exchange platform is there, people will become speculators. They will do, frequent buying, selling, all these things, they don't happen. In fact, let me tell you that since my company has adopted, I had never imagined that I will get 5 lakh ka SIPs. And I have at least, 25 SIPs of 5 lakh rupees and 1 lakh rupees, which earlier was not imagined. See, the whole orientation has to happen. Yes, it's a very tough job, that if you expect existing dealers to go and sell mutual fund and make a success out of it, it is very difficult. But at the same time, there are people who want to participate in both the markets, and the ease with which they can buy the mutual fund units, I think it is really fantastic if they come on the floor. So that doesn't mean that, you know, because there is a floor, you become a speculator. I think that assumption is not at all tenable, according to me.
Short questions, please.
My question is to the manufacturers. Today we have a platform. We have national level distributors. What have we done in terms of inclusion? Have we spread the word across as far as the Star MF platform is concerned? And what would be your commitment for individuals to participate through this platform? Just increasing number of brokers is not the idea, but you know, why don't you educate the fraternity when we talk of, you know, financial inclusion going, you know, we had CASA for that matter, 72, 74, to open a savings account, you had to bully somebody, or probably you had to tell somebody, I'll incentivize you. And today we talk of CASA right at the time of birth. The moment you have a child, you have a savings account getting opened right away. So, I mean, to take this platform ahead, I think that would be the best comment from your side.
See, let me first give you the numbers. We can always argue there is something which can be done more, which is a perfect argument at all points of time. But let me give you the numbers. The platform started in December 2009. I think Q1, the total number of transactions which happened on the platforms were almost 3,000, were about 3,500. Now, you know, we are doing almost about 90,000 transactions on the platform every quarter, which is 25 times. The volumes on the exchange in the first quarter were about 45 crores. Now, in that quarter, now the volumes are almost 15 times. So we have already traversed a distance. I think as a manufacturer, we are talking to our partners, trying to get in more, you know, more partners involved in this process. I think it's a wonderful platform. Whether it is the convenience which it offers, whether it is we saw about XSIP, I think it's a process, and my sense is going forward with a lot of the operational issues being already handled in the last 2-3 years, I think it would multiply from here on.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is for the manufacturers and distributors. So, many a times I've seen that when a NAV investor wants to go and invest in the mutual funds, they go to these agents. Now these agents are sometimes not able to explain what exactly is the fund all about. So at that time, what does the investor do? Like, because for that time being, the investor who doesn't have any idea about where to invest the money in when he wants to invest in the capital market, he trusts the agent. But sometimes the agent himself doesn't have any idea about what the fund is all about. So then what does the investor do?
He goes and finds a good advisor.
I think Warren Buffett has given a very good statement that if you don't know jewelry, you know the jeweler.
Exactly. Any other questions? Yeah. We have to wind up, actually. Sorry.
You know, see, one thing is there. If you are paying the UDP price, you should be expecting UDP service. And if you are paying 5-star hotel price, you should be expecting 5-star hotel service. A person who wants to invest 1,000 rupee on a transaction basis without having any relationship with the advisor, if he expects that one advisor will call when the issue is open, second, he'll come and explain the entire prospectus and explain all the risk factors, third, he will send someone to sign the form, fourth, he will make 10 calls to collect the application, and fifth, finally deposit the form. I mean, that's never going to happen. The advisor is commercial entity. It's not a charitable entity. So the expectation of advice will be in relation to what kind of relationship you are having with the advisor. You can't expect 5-star hotel service at UDP price. That will never happen on a commercial basis. And if it happens, it can't last forever.
Right, well said. Thank you. And on that note, can I ask everyone to thank all our panelists, all the Nilesh, Deenaben, Neeraj, Nagnath, Himanshu, Sandesh. Thank you very much.
May I request all the panelists to please remain seated for 5 minutes more. It's my pleasurable duty to request Mr. Ashish Kumar Chauhan, MD and CEO of BSE, to please come and hand out a token of appreciation and thanks to the panel who's done a wonderful job for the panel discussion today. Shri Ashish Kumar Chauhan. Now, may we start with Nilesh Bhai? Mrs. Deena Mehta. Neeraj Bhai Choksi. A big thanks to Hansi for moderating the panel extremely well. Mr. Nagnath. Mr. Sandesh Kedkire. And Mr. Himanshu Vyapak. May I also request Ashish to please hand over a memento to Mr. Rakesh Somani from ANMI. And Mr. Siddharth Shah, please. घर का है तो घर पे पहुंचाएंगे. Thank you very much for coming, all of you. May I now please request Mr. Ashish Kumar Chauhan to give a vote of thanks and closing remarks.
Ms. Mehrotra, Ms. Deena Mehta, Mr. Kirkire, Mr. Nagnath, Mr. Vyapak, Mr. Choksi, and Mr. Shah. We have basically the superstars of the mutual fund world sitting here. And I'm really thankful to all of you for coming here and sparing your valuable time in figuring out, basically, this is something which is actually changing the entire framework of distribution, as we are saying. For me, I mean, I have no doubt in my mind that technology is the only change that happens. Everything else, the regulations, the deregulations, the liberalizations, and everything else actually is an outcome of technological change. What used to be a floor where the trading used to happen, we have now converted into convention hall. And somewhere on the line, the mutual fund industry for me is changing very, very rapidly. Whether we like it or not, for me, it's a deluge. We can continue to think that I can fight that deluge. But the best way is to actually learn to swim with the deluge. If we learn to swim, the chance of survival is much larger, much higher than trying to fight. For me, not coming on the exchange platform is trying to fight the deluge. Because the consistency, the way you can actually trade on investments, because there is, I think, a lot of perceptions that have come. I want to touch upon some of them. Totally around, between BSE and NSE, 1.5 crore investors, unique PAN numbers are there. Out of that, hardly 100,000 people actually trade very frequently. Most of them are investors and not traders or not speculators. And out of $3 trillion of wealth of the country on BSE today, almost 80% is with Indians, 20% is sort of staying abroad. But that $1.3 trillion of wealth is now larger than all bank deposits put together. Although it came out as if bank deposit is something which people go to, today it has become much, much larger. And for me, 2012 has not been that great. 2011 was worse. But 2013 is looking really good. Probably next year when we talk about this at BSE Star MF function, similar time, I'm sure all of you must be saying that how did we get so many more million investors into mutual funds through BSE Star MF platform? For me, I have no doubt in my mind that this is, I have gone through all the technological changes and the product changes that have happened, from setting up of the screen-based markets to depositories to derivatives. Equities market is now, as he said, 1/10 of the sort of derivatives. But for me, mutual fund market and distribution of mutual fund through exchanges is going to be 10 times bigger than what is happening physically in 10 years' time. And now, basically for me, that's why it was more important for me to have what I call the thinkers of the mutual fund world coming here, sharing their perspective, and taking something back. The idea of debate is also, as much as you sort of speak, you also learn from others. And I think, I'm sure all of us have learned a lot from this exhilarating debate. Thank you very much for coming here today. Really appreciate every one of you coming.
May I request you all to please join for some high tea?